Hey, what's up YouTube, Sky Badger here, and we're back on day 24 of the 100 player fan game series. So if we have a look in the newspaper, we can see we're exactly where we were when we left off yesterday. 4th place on 495 points, but in the world's mightiest armies, we are in 1st, which that is great considering we're half the size of the top player. So that right there is a good example of what you can achieve with a strong economy. You don't need to be the biggest player in the game to have the biggest army, well, rather the mightiest. The mightiest army is not a measure of biggest, it takes into account firepower, so we had the most firepower in the game. So based on that, the reason we had the biggest army in the game, or mightiest, is because we have ships and battleships, and they really add to your firepower. So we have to be careful that we don't obviously get too cocky about this, because we might have the most firepower, but we're not the strongest in the game. If you look at what other players have, we have a air force that's half the size of South Africa's, and we have a navy that's unrivaled by anyone else in the game. Two very different forces, but if it came to war, South Africa would win. I wouldn't stand a chance. I could defend my core for a while, but wouldn't go much further than that. So if we have a look at what's happening in the game, our troops, or South Africa's troops rather, have just finally landed with our new temporary allies. We should be able to begin pushing them back pretty soon. Now we've got as much ships over as we can, and as we can see in the area, there isn't all that much. We can see that if we have a look up around here, that all their submarines are up here. Quebec is sending some down, but it is way too late, and I don't think he's quite aware of what's here yet. And even if we come down here, we can see that the vessels that must have been in the region before have already moved on or been sunk by the South Americans. So at this point in time, we only have to worry about what's coming down here, and that'll be my job to stall that out pretty soon. I did get the recent upgrade to my battleships, so I finally got level 1 battleships, so they should be able to get over and into the area 5 hours quicker than they could before, which is good. So 2 days and 8 hours from now, I will have ships in the region ready to start patrolling. As I said I would in the last episode, I'm researching Tactical Bomber level 4, and that will allow me to then stock tactical bombers on my aircraft. And as you can see, I have 5 spare spots that need to be full. Considering we already have aircraft on the ground, it's not going to be too important, the aircraft carriers, but if I can get aircraft up into here, I have patrolling range over Havana and the Caribbean islands, and then I can severely disrupt the Caribbean's ability to produce troops and send them down. Considering he's an island nation, if I can take naval superiority in the region, I can completely cut him out of the fight. If we have a look up here, he has 1 industrial center, 2 industrial centers, my bad, 3, okay, not too much, but if we take out his core, we stop him sending troops away from his high level industrial centers, places where he has got infrastructure, airways, runways, naval bases, then we severely cripple his ability to contribute to their fight. So one battle group, once we have secured a pathway across here, will be sent up here, and it will cut off all their ability to send troops down. That will make it a lot more easier for us to march up. If we have a look at what South Africa has successfully got across the channel at this point, we can see that he doesn't have too many troops, but it's his air force that counts. As we can see here, he's just starting to deploy now and starting to go on some patrols. So he sent out a lot of aircraft, and they're going to start patrolling over the region and just hammering Quebec's troops. Because we have a reveal all, we can see that Quebec does not stand a chance in hell. We can see that his troops here, although they are heaps of light tanks in numbers and fast, it's nothing 60 aircraft can't mop up. In fact, what we're going to see here is we're going to see a rapid expansion, and the tide of this war is going to flip in an instant. This is the power of air superiority, guys. King Congo has just landed, and I can tell you now, Quebec has already lost the war. The only aircraft and reasonable chance Quebec has is this right here, and this is not enough. We can see that Quebec does not have enough anti-air in the region to put up a sufficient fight, and even then, there's not enough of a runway network left for him to get his aircraft that he does have to the immediate zone. So we can see stacks like this, like man, Where's the anti-air on that? That's not going to take much to be destroyed. Patrol over that for a few hours and it's done. So this is going to flip incredibly fast, and it's not going to take long at all. It won't be long, in fact, until Quebec is pushed out of the region altogether. We can see down here that we're not sure what troops South Argentina does have left. From the intel we got yesterday and from King Kong sharing his intelligence with me, we know that South Argentina had 13 light tanks and 1 medium tank. So it is entirely possible that Argentina may still be able to put up a fight. It'll be a while before we can get down here and save them, but I do feel that it might be hard to save Argentina at this point due to the distance the aircraft have to travel. It may be more reasonable that we'll be able to save this guy and this guy here. So, like I said, using the term save loosely, because we're kind of just using this as a jumping off point. We're not really too interested in rebuilding them and saving them, and in fact at some point we may even have to come back and kill them, but we will be helping them last a little longer in the game. So our ally up here as well is sending troops and is contributing as well. Until I can get a naval force in the region, he's the only thing that is securing a zone for our troops to cross. So we need to be mindful of that, and good work on him. He's managed to successfully negotiate his place in the game. In terms of what's happening up in Europe, we can see that Finland is nearly gone. Finland did ask me for help, and I just said no, basically. So this is a good example, guys, of why you fight with your allies and why you don't leave them. Finland, I said this in the last episode, but you should have fought with your allies. Abandoning them and leaving them to die was the worst move you could have made, because not only has it left you now singled out in Europe, we don't want to ally with someone who's going to abandon us later if we get in trouble. You're not an ideal ally, so when you do make allies, stick by them. If you're not willing to stick by them and fight with them and for them, then why are they your allies? They're not allies at that point. So be careful, guys, and don't do a Finland. Fight with your allies or die singled out by yourself later on. If we come across into the Asian regions, Lord Kek and Pakistan are about to launch their attack, and I suspect this will happen pretty soon. Because of what's happening up here with Quebec crossing over and about to take out this blade here, I suspect that this guy is going to make the most of that and try going for the land grab. Although Quebec's probably going to pull back troops relatively soon once he realizes what is happening. And what we're also going to find is that this guy here, once he realizes what's happening, is going to pull back troops as well to try and defend. At that point though, it'd be too late. And then this just leaves this guy here in the middle, which I suspect he probably won't last long either. The only thing we've left out of this picture is the Aussies. So we're not sure what they're doing. We know that they're allied with this guy up here, but it's hard to say. We don't have much intel on them, so I can't really say too much there. In terms of what we're doing at the moment though, like I said before, we're sending our navy down to support and to help take back South Africa. Well, actually not take it back, to take South Africa for ourselves. So I'm playing a largely supportive role in this. In fact, I doubt I will gain much more land this game at all. I might get a little more land in Australasia, catch a little bit of Australia and New Zealand, but as stands at the moment, it's highly unlikely that I'm going to be making much more land gains, considering I'm in a supportive role. I might be able to muster some troops together and get some land in America, but probably not. So at this point, I think it's safe to say that this might be the pinnacle of my game here, 4th place. So, like I said, going forwards, because we're sending naval support only, and we left our army undeveloped, oh, there we go, he has declared war. We've left our army underdeveloped and spent a lot of time on our navy, which is necessary for the progression of our team. It leaves us in a position where we're unable to conquer new lands. So, for the time being, until I can build up an army now, we are kind of stuck on this land here, and that's not bad at all, because we are playing a very supportive role towards our team. So, that's what's going to happen going forwards, is we're going to help take South America, and then with a bit of luck, we might be able to muster some troops and gain some land in North America. So, I'll see you guys in the next episode, and hopefully there'll be a little more action. As the fighting progresses, I can show some of that off. At this point, all that's happening is King Kongo's going out on patrol, and any troops under these patrol zones are basically going to get wiped out. They don't stand a chance. So if we have a look at the aircraft King Kongo has in the region, we can see just the scale of what our opponent is going up against. And that's not even all of it right there. We can see that he's in quite a bit of trouble. I'm pretty sure there is 2 stacks under this one here. Yeah, there we go. So anything within these regions is in a lot of trouble now. I'll update you guys as things go, but see you in the next episode.